Hello, everyone. Welcome into another edition of the Four Quarters podcast powered by College Court Report Canada. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, with you once again. This is part number 2 of episode 1 of season 2. It's a lot to say. It's a lot going on. Part 1 had Niagara women's basketball head coach Chris Rayo. Him and I broke down the OCAA Women's Basketball Championship gold medal game between Fanshawe and St. Clair. One that the Falcons won 93-80 to win their second straight OCAA gold medal. And like we said in there, it was unfortunate that they did not advance to nationals with it being canceled. Would have done some damage on the big stage, I believe. But hindsight's 2020. Hopefully they can get back there next year on their home floor in 2021. Hopefully we have a season in 2020, 2021. That'd be nice. Still remains to be seen. Part 2, which is right now, we'll have former Camosun Chargers guard Dylan Marsden. And then part 3, which will be up right after this one, will be with Prairie College Pilots men's and women's basketball head coach Harrison Corrales. But in part 2, I caught up with Dylan Marsden, talked about his career at Camosun, how it was essentially a 10-year career. Graduated high school in 2009 and finished his career with the 2018-19 season. So I got the story behind that, a summed up version, if you will, the trials and tribulations he went through to work his way up to being a starter with the Chargers after facing hurdle after hurdle after hurdle at tryouts to make it to where he was now. We looked at his work with the Rex Report, Rex Sport Victoria, Passion Sports Custom Apparel. There's only 24 hours in a day, and he's got a lot going on. He knows how to squeeze every ounce of time out of his day to get stuff done. So it was an interesting chat. We heard some interesting stories, some great stories about his time as a Charger, both on retreats or how Joe Envoldson, when he was with Douglas, overlooked Dylan a little bit, and it came back to bite him. Dylan torched him for a game. So we're going to let him tell that story as well. And it was just a fun chat. He's a great guy. It's great to catch up, great to put it on the podcast. Always fun to have players on, and Dylan's no exception. It was a great chat start to finish. So with that in mind, we're going to jump right in. Part number 2 of episode 1 in season 2 of the Four Quarters podcast, powered by Four Quarters Media, featuring former Camosun Chargers guard Dylan Marsden. Enjoy. All right, we are now joined by former Camosun Chargers guard Dylan Marsden. Dylan, first off, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. How are things?
Things are good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
It's been a busy weekend for you with the Rex Report. You guys are growing that pretty big. We're going to get into that a little bit later on as well. But off the top, before we get into it, how have things been out west with the COVID-19 pandemic? I know things are starting to open up for you guys. I've seen on Instagram you've been out golfing a little bit here and there just to take advantage of nice weather and some sort of normalcy in the world. How have things been going?
Up and down, like everything, taking it one day at a time and trying to find the positives in the whole situation. I know, a lot of kids aren't able to hoop for the last couple months, and we're starting to see the hoops in the city kind of go back up. They're boarded off and whatnot. So that's a good sign, just to have them back out playing ball. And personally, it's going to be nice to shoot a little more and with this nice weather. And we're pretty lucky here. I think we handled it pretty well, and especially on the island, it seems like we're in as good of a spot as I think we could be right now. So obviously there's uncertain times ahead and a lot of uncertainty with it, but things are good. I've got out to the golf course the last week and a bit, so got to compete in a sport, which is nice. I love to compete. So that's been good. Yeah.
I think we've been the biggest problem for COVID in Ontario. So apologies from our collective province and Quebec for kind of ruining it for everybody else. But
oh no, we're just hoping everyone finds a way to stay positive through it, right? And
we'll eventually
we'll be back. And it's pretty cool to see some of the stories coming out of all this, and how people have kind of found their pace of life or reevaluated some situations and realized what's really important to them.
Yeah.
So there are positives. It's just difficult times for sure.
a lot of people spending more time with family than they never knew they had, or proving that you can do a job from home that you were told you could never do. And I'm sure productivity's taken a big hit a lot of places, but creativity wise, like everybody's had time to maybe do something that they didn't think they could have time to do beforehand. And I think it's you find the benefit, you find the time you have, and you use it for the best. And if you get your work done at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you just got to take it one day at a time, and that's all we can do right now.
That's all we can do. I'm gonna run through your resume of what you got going on, because there's a lot that you've got going on, and with only 24 hours in a day, not much time left. But correct me if I get this wrong. So you're the creator of Rec Sports Victoria, which is the #1 spot for organized and competitive basketball in Victoria.
Yes, sir.
You are the co-founder of the Rex Report, which highlights local grade 12 players, helps them play at the next level, get opportunities they may not have already had. You are you do sales and marketing for Passion Sports Custom Apparel.
Yep.
Which we talked about beforehand. You're starting back this week.
Yes, sir.
You're adding that to the mix. And you're also the director of Passion Sports Basketball. And
it's a lot going on.
And you run some social media for the Chargers on the side.
Yeah, I help the boys out on the basketball team with that as well. Yeah, it's a busy schedule.
Yep.
A lot of time management, but I got a ton of help in every place I work. And Passion Sports Custom, that's my day job. That's my 9 to 5. And do marketing and sales for them. Rec Sports is a company who kind of started, on the side. And I have a ton of support and help with that from Casey Fedberg, my best friend and business partner. So everything I do, I got a ton of help around me. So I'm still able to, get a lot out of each thing I do, and find some time to make sure I'm still enjoying the weather and whatnot.
Yeah, the 9 to 5 pays the bills, and everything else is kind of creativity. And COVID has sure helped with that, because I've seen that Rex Report grow over COVID, and the attention level you guys have had. And like we said, now you guys are selling shirts to help make money to grow it, which is fantastic. It's one of those good COVID success stories.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I can't take any of the credit. It's just the kids and the parents and the coaches that are helping me out with this, that are spreading the word. And the Rex Report was a thing that I was talking to Casey about, it because we didn't have any leagues to be running, and I wanted to do something for Rex, and I was seeing all these kids have their highlight videos, and I wanted to get them and break down their games, because I've watched a lot of them play, and get the word out on them. And it's been a really successful project so far that I picked up because of the situation. So it is a positive in the situation. I'm glad I started it, and we started it, and we'll see where it takes us. But it's so far so good. We got some ideas up our sleeve, and just trying to build awareness. The island kids, they can play, and more people need to know that. And if you're a coach in Canada listening, check us out and shoot us an email, and let's get in touch, and maybe we can get you your next stud. You never know.
We'll link everything for you guys in the audio and video of this, so people can check you guys out, what you're all about. But before we get into kind of your career at Camosun and kind of everything after the fact, where did the name Rex come from? Because I Googled it. I don't know if it's like something to do with Victoria or anything.
Honestly,
I Googled everything Rex in Victoria, and nothing came up.
Yeah, Rex came up pretty randomly. My business partner, Casey, he's my best friend, so we're real close, and we've definitely had our fair share of arguments. And we were coming up with names. We had a Slack conversation that we'd scroll down with you could scroll for 20 minutes, just another name idea. And we couldn't really get to it. We started a business under a different name. We scratched it. We're like, we paid the fee to get her name, and then Rex kind of just came out kind of randomly. I remember we were typing, what do we do? We do recreational basketball leagues. That's what we want to do. And then when I wrote Rec League, in a chat, it kind of turned to Rex by accident. The X is beside the C. I looked at it. Casey's like, that's not bad. Like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, I like that. And then we kind of looked up Rex on Google, and it in some places it means king or king of the court. So it just kind of worked, and we're like, you know what, let's go for it. Because when you say Rex, you kind of know what we're all about. If you say it out loud, it's like, it's rec leagues, rec sports, it's recreational sports. So it's a bit of a play on that. And yeah, we like the Raptors are big, and the dinosaur, and we were thinking about a logo for that. And yeah, just it kind of all came together randomly and fast, but we settled on rec sports, and we kind of like it. I think it's a cool name.
It works, and it came about kind of like in a fluke kind of way, but
yeah.
I mean, when I read it out loud, rec sports, I'm like, okay, it's recreation. It's got to be something to do with that. And then Google usually comes through. Let me down. Couldn't find a thing on Rex.
We're trying to get out there. We're trying to get out there more. We just got a website going a couple of weeks ago. We got an app, which is really cool. And yeah, we're building, and I think we're on to something pretty cool. And we got a lot of support in this community. So I'm really excited what we're going to do, and I'm excited to be a part of it as a player, and to see, other people play in a league that's going to be, we want to make everyone feel like they're in a professional league, like a really high level league. No matter what level you play at, you're going to get treated well. You're going to have sweet jerseys. You're going to have your stats, photos, videos. We just want to make it really organized and professional, and give a place for, ex-college players to play. And, those kids that come out of high school and maybe just don't make the cut to play collegiate, they can then come and play for us. We'll be able to develop. You'll be able to play against the best, whatever competition you need to play against. We're going to have multiple levels. And maybe as a year after a lot of playing experience in a good organized league with referees and everything, and you can maybe take the next step. And it's just we're trying to fill that niche of having a good league year round. Have a bunch of different levels and have a bunch of different options, and just have fun with it, honestly. And our whole goal from the start was to create something that we would want created for us. And we wanted to be a part of that, and we want to play in it, and we just got to make sure it's running real smooth before we really, dive into fully playing in every drop in and thing we want. We want to make sure it's running well. And then we want to enjoy it.
I think that's a good thing. That's a big thing that a lot of other cities could draw from too, is have something similar to get those ex-college players or the guys or girls that you said just missed the cut, to develop them for another year and keep them playing. Because if you get cut or you don't make it, sometimes you go 4 or 5 months or longer without playing.
And you're playing in an intramural league, or you're playing in you're just doing like drop-in hoops, and it's just you're not going to get the same development. You're just not. Some places have great leagues. Here we had some great leagues, like the UVic Spring League. They run a good league in the spring. It's short term, but we just want something year round where you can, you try out for a team. You're not quite ready for it, come to our league, compete, and play at a level that it's going to make you improve. And I think that'll give a lot of kids. I think we're going to see a lot of kids come out of grade 12, graduate, maybe not make the team or the school in the first year, take a year off school, play in this league, develop, get better. And I think we're going to see a rise in those like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds that start making teams.
And really showcase that talent from the area, Victoria, everything nearby, and really put them on the map and give them that extra edge that other cities may not have, right?
Yeah, and just build the game overall. Like that's what I want to do, and I know Casey wants to do it too. And we want to build the game. We want to make Victoria, I'm not afraid to say it, we want to make Victoria the best basketball city in Canada. We want it to be known for its basketball. There's a lot of good young kids. Like obviously, there's bigger cities with a bigger pool of players, but per capita, and for what we have here, I think we have a really good basketball community, and I think it's going to be something pretty cool in the future. I think we're growing with the people that we have in place already. There's a lot of good companies, a lot of good programs, a lot of good guys that are already doing really good things in the city. Not us, but other companies, The Grind, Flight Basketball, Chris Marsh Basketball. There's a lot of good programs out there. So yeah, basketball and the future of basketball in Victoria is bright.
You can even see it in the West Coast overall with more and more players coming out to U Sports, CCAA programs. It's like George Horn is coming to Western from BC this year. Like there's a lot of West Coast talent that is going everywhere, regardless of staying home or just making that jump to the next level. And I think what you guys are building, it's going to showcase that a lot more, and you're going to see more and more, maybe not from just Victoria, but from the whole province of BC making that jump to the next level and kind of building off what you guys are doing and taking their own step in their own right.
Exactly. And yeah, it's we want to see more guys just get more opportunities, and what they do with that opportunity is going to be, up to them at the end of the day, and how they are as a student and whatnot, but just creating their opportunity and making sure we have the programs in place to prepare them as best we can. And I know we already have some great programs, Passion Sports Basketball, which I run as well, training from a young age. And we're focusing on, making, and same with the Grind and Flight and Chris Marsh. We're all focused on, the basketball side of things and making players better. But like, we want these kids to be good people. We want them to be good students, and we want to show the importance of that. And I think the guys in the city get that, and they're doing a great job.
It's going to be a collective effort to get everybody there. Like obviously you guys are going to kind of work together and kind of do your own thing at the same time, but you guys are all working towards that same goal of growing basketball and growing Victoria, like you said, to be one of the best basketball cities in Canada. And you guys are all doing that same goal. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before people start to really realize the talent that is in Victoria.
Yeah. Yep.
I know there's a lot of people that can probably benefit from a league like that too, to really help them develop. And I think your story, which we'll touch on now, might have been one of those stories that could have used it.
Oh yeah.
The break you took in between tryouts. So looking back in your journey to Camosun, so what was that about for you? Kind of full of ups and downs, if you will. I'll let you kind of take the reins and explain ultimately how you ended up a Charger.
Yeah, it's a long story, so I'll try to sum it up as quick as I can here. But it started in 2009. I graduated high school, and I was, went to my first identification camp. Me and my best friend Casey, we went, and we tried out. End of the day, we were offered a red shirt. The coach at the time was Craig Price. He offered us both red shirts. Pretty sweet to look back on. If your best friend and I, me and my best friend, we got a red shirt spot. We could have played on the same team, blah blah blah. But we just didn't understand it as 17-year-old kids. So long story short, we ended up not going to school. We turned the spot down. Okay. I tried out year after year after that. I didn't make it the next year or the year after, and then I remember I think it was Scott Cushon, the current head coach. Right now that I had for my 5 years. I went to try out. I think it was my third or fourth one. Like, I can't keep track. And I remember they were reading out names on a Friday night, and if your name got read out, it was an invite back on Saturday. So I'm sitting there, and it was my third or fourth tryout, and I didn't hear my name, and I went home, and it sucked. And I thought, I'm not trying anymore. This is getting. I'm just not going to make it. And I just didn't prepare each year enough to really make it. Out of high school, I was playing, I was ready to go. I got the red shirt option. After that, I just kind of, would take 8-9 months off, maybe play intramurals or play in a drop-in, but I never improved enough. And I wasn't going to get that opportunity. It's very hard to play collegiate basketball, and it takes a lot of work. And I didn't really get that. And I trained a couple weeks leading up to each tryout, and I never really got that opportunity because I didn't put in enough work, and I didn't play enough throughout the year. So I would have definitely benefited from a league that I could have played in for multiple years. But eventually I fell into some good situations, met some good people around me. Rulon Schmidt, who was trying out for the Vikes at the time, really helped me and motivated me that I could actually make the team. This was after I went back another year and didn't make it. And then I went back again when I was 22. Yeah. And that's when I started to get some opportunities, and I didn't exactly make the team when I was 22 either. I just didn't not get cut, so I kept showing up. I went to scrimmages, I went to training.
Okay.
I was waiting for Coach Scott to be like, "Hey man, go home." He said I could keep coming around, no guarantees. And then late August, he said, "Look, you've put in the work, you've showed up every day, you haven't missed a single practice, you haven't been late. Like, you're working hard, you're improving, so we'll give you a redshirt spot." And the difference from that offer and the offer Craig Price gave me was night and day. Craig, I was like, "Oh, I'll talk to you soon, we'll think about it." And I regret it in ways, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But when Scott said that, I was like, "Yep, sweet." Shook his hand. I left the room before he could change his mind. And that was that. Finally, got my opportunity. And so that was the journey.
Persistence was key.
Oh man, it's crazy to even talk about. It was a lot. It was 5 years of trying to make that team, and I wanted it bad.
Yeah.
And I wanted it really bad that last tryout. So
I wonder what was going through Scott's mind every time you kept showing up, and he didn't cut you, but he also didn't say you were on the team, and you just kept showing up. I wonder what he thought whenever he saw you walk through the gym.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd have some words for it. Maybe you should throw him on the podcast someday.
I should get him on with you a second time to see his side of the story, see how he felt about it.
Yeah, I don't think he had too much hope in me at first. Like, I'm 22 years old. When a guy gets older, the potential kind of drops. And I just kept making sure I worked so hard. I wanted to show that and prove that. And I never wanted to show that I was going to give up. And if he saw that in me, if the guy saw that in me, that I wasn't going to give up, I wasn't going to go home, I'm going to keep showing up no matter what. I think I gained a little bit of respect from a few people and ended up getting a spot.
Was there ever a thought of going to a different school to try out? Was there ever a thought of not necessarily transferring, since you weren't officially on the team, but for lack of a better word, was there ever a thought of transferring to a different school?
Yeah, well, during the tryouts, year after year, when I didn't make it, it kind of, in a way, there was some shame involved, honestly, and there was some, do I really want to show up at the same tryout again and be seen by those same people or same coaches, and tell my friends, like, I'm trying again? And it was hard, and I did think about going to a different school's trial. I was thinking about going to Kwantlen, and I ended up, through a random connection, I ended up meeting Scott outside of basketball. And I told him, I said, "Yeah, I play basketball. I might go to Kwantlen." And he just advised. He didn't know me very well, but he said he was a league convener, and he knew kind of what was going on. Kwantlen was potentially on the way out as a program, which they are now. And he said it might last a year, it might last two, but if you're going to school and you want to play ball, I don't know if it's where you want to go. Okay. And so I said, "All right." And he's like, "You can come to our tryouts." And I said, "I have been, coach." Like, I don't know if you remember me, but I've been there. I know when it is.
I've been there. I've been there for years, and still don't remember who I am. It's terrible. That's terrible.
But I made him remember me the last time. I didn't stop making sure he knew where I was and how many days I was showing up.
You were going to get on that team if it was the last thing you did.
Yeah.
You were not going home without at least a red shirt, and then you took that and ran.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Take it. Don't second guess it. Don't question them. Yeah. Like, are you sure you want to give me that? No.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, being a red shirt is tough. I got lucky. A couple injuries happened. I ended up getting on the roster. I started opening night. I started on the bench. Got like a minute playing time. Just to clear that up. But it was a red shirt position that, even just having that mindset, it's tough. I've seen guys redshirt for 2 or 3 years. Yep. It's a very tough position to be in, and you got to really commit and work and go through a lot of ups and downs, because it's a hard on your mental. And I applaud everyone who has gone from a redshirt position, fought their way onto a roster, fought their way into playing time. It's not easy, and I'm really proud of what I ended up doing, and I'm so happy I got the second offer to have a redshirt spot in the first place, because you never know.
It's always tough because you do all the work, the same work on the court in practice as the guys on the roster or the girls on the roster, and then comes the game and just not there, right?
Got their towel on the back of the bench, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's different. Are you keeping track of fouls? Like but you're still a very important piece to the team, and that's what a lot of guys got to realize. Playing or not, everyone's an important piece of the puzzle, and everyone's got their job to do and their role on a team to be successful. And
we opened it up to social media for questions. I was going to ask kind of after the fact. I'm going to ask them as we go because they kind of fit in with the different scenarios that you're going through. So one came through. It says, how did you handle your ever-changing role on the team to ensure you always contributed?
That's a good question. I mean, my role was all over the place. Like that first year, I played a couple minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
It was filling up water bottles. It was making sure I had energy in practice, working hard, and just doing whatever I could to help the team be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Then I tried to figure out how to shoot the ball better so I could bring a outside shot as a forward so I could stretch the floor. Maybe that was a niche we needed, and Scott worked with me on that. And my third year I ended up shooting the ball real well. I led the league in 3-point percentage. I didn't take a high volume, but I made sure I made my shots go in. And similar to my fourth year, it was just accepting the roles that were needed to be filled. I was never a superstar player. I was never going to, put up 20, 25 points to, help the offense. But there was different ways that I could help the team. And sometimes I didn't see them. Sometimes, I wasn't aware of what I needed to do. So you just got to reach out to the coaching staff and say, what can I do to help the team be successful? I understand my where I am as an athlete, where I am as a player. I know what work I need to put in, but while I'm putting in that work, what role can I fill? And you just got to ask your coaching staff to be honest with you, and don't fill you with false hope or anything, but just be honest. Like, what can I do? And that's basically what I did. I communicated with Scott a lot. I tried to find roles that I could fit into. I went from being I was a 5, a 4 in my first year, just trying to box guys out and get rebounds or pass the ball in the offense, and then into a shooter, and then into the guard position. And then in my fourth year, I was playing defense on a lot of the top guys in the league. It was a challenge for me, but it was ever changing, and you just got to communicate with your coaches. What can I do to help the team succeed? And if you get enough guys like that, and I was trying to help set an example that if we get enough guys bought into just filling their role, you're going to have a successful team. And the end goal, like, there's nothing better than winning. And at the end of the day, I'd rather win a game than score a bunch of points or so it was just
all about the name on the
communication.
front, right? All about the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, but that's what it was for me. And unfortunately, I wish we won more. I wish we won a lot more, but it is what it is. And we had success at times. And I think, filling the roles, and we created a pretty cool culture at Camosun. It's still growing. It's still changing. And I think it's in place, and I think they're going to be pretty successful moving forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing the program continue to grow. And
looking back on your last 5 years, what is your top moment, both on and off the court? I know there's probably a few in there, both on and
especially,
off.
I was going to say off the court, there's there's a ton. And I think about bus trips, retreats, Saturday nights when we go to somebody's house, we all hang out. I don't know, Christmas parties, there's all sorts of stuff. Off the court, though, the retreats were so fun because you're getting to know a new team. You're getting to know new guys, new players. You're really learning a ton about who they are. Okay. So I think the retreats and the fun we had to really start our season and bond with each other. The retreats we went on were anywhere from a lake house to a rocky beach in tents with a bunch of guys. But yeah, we had some good moments. I remember we all, Quinn Yates, if he's listening, he'll he'll get a chuckle out of this. So will everyone that came, the 18 guys that came. I'll never forget it. Okay. We didn't have an official team retreat, so we planned it as a team. Quinn took the lead, and he's from Souk. Like he's a camper. He's biked across Canada. Like he's adventurous.
Jeez. Okay.
And everyone listening that knows Quinn knows exactly what I'm talking about. So Quinn's like, we're going to Sombrio Beach. Bring some tents, some sleeping bags. We're going as a team. We're gonna go do a little hike. We're gonna sleep on the beach, and we'll head back in the morning. But we get there. We get to the beach, and it's all rocky. And we're like, Quinn, there's rocks. Where's the sand? Like I thought we were going to a sandy beach. And Quinn's like, oh, you brought foamies, right? And we're like, oh, no, I think we got some guys had a tent, some guys had a sleeping bag. Like the preparation wasn't great from the rest of the team. Quinn, he was prepared. He had everything.
He was all set.
All we had, I remember Evan Woodson and Eric Weatherby and AJ Beaudry, James Dufresne, I think was there. Maybe James didn't come, I can't remember. But the thing we packed was a beer pong table.
Hey,
and
necessities.
We packed it down the beach, and that was the first thing we set up. We didn't even set up our tent, so our priorities were just not in the right spot. It was a non-team event, so we did it as just a group. And we went. We slept on the rocks. We went for adventures, but like we played football on the rocks. So it was just there's so much things there that just the laughs at the retreats. The Sprout Lake retreat, my third year, we went, and I remember the guys, the captains and Coach Scott were on the boat. They went on a little motorboat, Coach Pete's boat, and they're coming back on the boat. And the rest of the team were in the house. We're filling up this air mattresses and whatnot, and we're outside the house, and we hear the guys in the boat start yelling because they're coming into the dock. And they're like, get in the house, get in the house. And we're like, what's going on? And Scott's yelling, there's a bear, get in the house. And we're like, there's not a bear, we're fine. And I remember Jack Winston, he was just like, there's no bear, guys, we're fine. They're kidding. And Scott is just adamant, like, I'm serious. And then Scott wasn't cracking a smile. So we're like, oh, really? Oh, he's serious. But the best part about this, and Scott might say it wasn't him who yelled it, but somebody yelled from the boat, get in the house and lock the doors. So we get in the house, and Jack's like, why are we locking the doors? Is this bear going to come and unlock the doors? Like, what's going on? So just fun moments like that. There's so many off the court. On the court, again, a lot of good times, a lot of fun wins. Going to nationals, beating Quest was fun.
It was a good Quest team too.
It was a very good Quest team. They were very good. I watched that game back. We did a review on it, or recap kind of thing. Yeah. And we're just like, this is a very deep and talented Quest team. So that was a great feeling. Second time in school history to go nationals. And for me personally, my senior night was pretty special. I had guys come from all over, Canada, friends from high school, come watch me, my parents. And we ended up, beating VIU, which felt good because they beat up on us my whole career. We hadn't beat them for 12 years. So just to beat them the last chance I had at home, it did feel good. And I was happy to get that last win at home. Yep. And I had a good game, and it was a lot of fun. It was a tough battle the next night. They got us back pretty good. But that senior night was enjoyable. And then, my last playoffs, finishing with a win, dribbling out the clock, and just, putting a cap on my career with a win. It wasn't a medal we wanted. We got bronze, but just that moment of just accepting that it was over, I felt good. It's been 5 long years. Yep. And that was a pretty just good short moment for me, that just last couple dribbles. I remember Jake Wilmot passed me the ball. I watched the video the other day, and that was a good moment on the court, and just those kind of wins. I remember a lot of the younger guys stepped up that game. Isaiah Romanov, he had a good big fourth quarter for us. We were down 10, and just to see the next guys that are staying on the team kind of step up. Jake had a huge third quarter, Jake Wilmot. So to see that, and to feel good about it being over, to feel like we've progressed, we won a medal, we've made some movement forward. That was a really good feeling for me, and felt like we moved the culture forward that year. And they've got another bronze medal last season, and hopefully that means there's a progression going on, and hopefully they can get the gold in the Pac West and go to on the national stage.
Not many people win their last game. There's very few people that get to win, let alone the last game of the season, but let alone the last game of their career. So the fact that for you guys it was both, and you won the last game of your career, ended with the bronze. I don't think you could ask for much more. Obviously, you could ask for a silver or gold in a trip to nationals, but hindsight, from where you came for the tryouts and the consistent coming back year after year after year, did you ever see it ending this way for you? 5 years in a jersey, a bronze medal at the end. Did that ever cross your mind?
Not at the beginning. When I started trying out in 2009, and I finished my career in 2019. So it was a 10-year journey of playing for this team. And when I started, I didn't think I believed I could work hard enough to get an opportunity to play. I wasn't sure how I would progress. I hadn't really been coached for 5 or 6 years, so I wasn't really sure what I was capable of. I didn't really know I could become a shooter. I didn't really, know I could do the things I did. I was unaware of it at the time, so I believed I could work hard. I believed I could figure it out. But when it started, playing 5 years, I thought I was going to go to school for 2 years, play 2 years, maybe even play 1 and hope I get an opportunity to play again. I didn't know. And then to wrap up my 5th year, it was cool to look back on. It was a lot of playing time, a lot of practices, a lot of sore muscles, but it was a good and fun career. I met a lot of great people through it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change accepting the red shirt from Craig Price in 09. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. I think it was meant to turn out the way it did, and
Looking back at that too, and going through your tryouts and persevering over 10 years into what it was, there's a lot of kids, I think, that are kind of in the similar shoes to you, that maybe go to a tryout, whether it's hockey, soccer, basketball, what have you, get cut, think about just quitting. What advice would you give to those kids who may be in a similar position to you, may get cut from their team or whatever, and may think about quitting? What advice would you give to them to kind of keep pushing and kind of don't give up?
Yeah, it's challenging to not give up. To be honest, it's challenging to tell yourself, like, you can give someone so much advice, but when you're going through it, I don't think anybody could have talked me into trying again. Some years it took a few months. It took time. Like, you just got to stay positive and confident in your abilities. If you believe you can do it, you just got to make it happen. You got to keep trying. It's not always going to happen in your first year. You can't have your expectations so high that you don't even want to, try again because you're afraid of failing. Don't be afraid of failing. I know it sucks. I know what it's like, but you just got to believe in yourself, and you can't just hope. You got to work. You got to put in the work. It's not an easy journey. It's not easy to make a college team. A lot of people kind of lose that perspective that do play, that, that are very talented and good. And they don't see the kids coming out every season that don't make the team. It's hard.
Right.
And for advice for those kids, and I would say advice for myself is just, don't be afraid to fail, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to end up in the exact same position that you started in.
That's true.
Your parents aren't going to disown you. Your friends aren't going to, they might razz you for a bit or bug you, but you're not going to end up in a worse position if you keep on trying, and you're not putting yourself out there. So if you don't make the team in your first year out of high school, don't quit. Go train, see how much better you can get. Try again. If you don't make it, oh well, you get a weekend of basketball. You don't end up in a much worse spot, if any worse. So don't worry about failing, and just keep going and keep trying. That's what I'd tell myself, and that's what I had to tell myself. That's what my friends told me. So if people are going to hate on you, make fun of you, about not making a team, it's like, screw them. You tried. And keep trying, and you're going to either make it and get an opportunity, or you're going to go you're going to go through a weekend of playing basketball. You're going to learn stuff about yourself, and then you're going to, be back where you were. So
at the very least, you get experience. You know what to expect for the year after when you go back. So you know the tryout process. You know kind of what they're looking for, what you need to do, what you need to improve on. You're going to get feedback on your game too while you're there. So
exactly.
you know to go and work on those things after the fact and come back next year stronger. And
it's the same when people are playing, like in your rookie season. It's not always going to go. A lot of these kids come out of high school and they're great players on their high school team. They get to college and they're at the back of the bench, or they're the 12th man or the 12th woman. And you feel this like, oh, I'm not good enough now. It's like, no, you're fine.
Yep.
It's just a different level of basketball or whatever sport it is. You just got to keep working. You got to it's not going to be, pretty. It's not always going to work out perfectly. You're not always going to make the team the first time you try. So we've all heard the Michael Jordan thing where he was in grade, I think it was grade 9 or 10, and they couldn't put him on the senior team, and what, he didn't give up, obviously. And I mean, you just gotta, it's not always going to be easy, and you got to work, you got to earn it.
You're not gonna get everything handed to you. You got to put in the work to get it. And like you said, going to the college level, it's an adjustment. It's a big change from high school ball. Guys and girls are a lot tougher, a lot stronger, a lot more. They've figured out their talents a lot more. I guess they're more developed, if you will. So it's going to be an adjustment. You go from the best player on your team in high school to, like you said, the 12th man and women on the bench. And you got to earn your keep. You got to earn your spot, and it's going to come with time. But that's a big mental game that not a lot of kids can do. It's tough.
Yeah, and you see it a lot, and it's hard at times to not kind of get down on yourself and to know, because you always believe that you're better than you perform. And a lot of guys have high expectations for themselves, and that's good, but you're not always going to meet those expectations. And it's how you're going to just find different routes to, reaching your potential and reaching those things. So it's just staying patient and staying, keep believing in yourself. And I remember James Dufree, who was a great teammate of mine. He just kept telling me, man, you got to be confident. You got to have swagger. You got to let things go. You make mistakes. You get ripped on by your coach in practice. Like, just keep chipping away, grinding, keep working, and have confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself, and then, like they say, believe in yourself, and then others will believe in you. But you got to believe in yourself. So, that was the biggest thing for me, is just continuing to believe in myself.
I think that's the toughest part for a lot of kids, is the belief in themselves. They hear 1 ounce of doubt or criticism, and then they start to doubt themselves, and it's a downward spiral that it's tough to get out of. And I think we've all been there at some point, right? We've all been there at some point in our lives, and it's tough to get out. It's tough in the mental aspect, but if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to ignore everything and block it out and worry about yourself.
And it's absolutely a challenge, but it's very, very much possible. And it's always good. That's why coaches find, good leadership, good guys to have around, good culture. That's important for development of players that are going through that. So,
one last question about your career before we get into one from a former teammate. That fun one. Right. Favorite team to play against?
Oh, this is Douglas Royals. Definitely. I don't know what it was. I know Coach Joe over at Douglas played against him. I even before Joe, there was some good games I had against Douglas, but it was kind of Coach Scott and Joe, they're best buds. And whenever we played Douglas, we'd see Joe before the game, or we'd see the guys before the game. I know Trey Crest, he played for Douglas in my 4th year. Okay. And he ended up playing on Camosun in my 5th year. Trey's on Douglas. And I remember I'm going into that game, and my first semester I was shooting terribly at 12%, 13%. I was averaging 1.5 points a game. There's no chance Coach Joe's put me on the scout. Fair enough. I busted my butt all winter break, made sure I was going to make a change. And I got an opportunity in that game. And I remember Trey telling me after, and Joe told me this too. He goes up and Trey's like, "Hey, Joe, Dylan, he shoots the ball. He's a really good shooter." And Joe's like, don't worry about a trade. Like, don't worry about it. We got to scout, the other guys, Shaquille Maharaj, Dallas Hancock, Matt Hampton, Riley Botting. There's a lot of other good players that they had to scout. And Joe wasn't worried about putting me on the scout, So I didn't know that going into it, but, Trey was like, all right, coach. And then, I came out to that game, and I think I was 8 for 9 from the field.
Jeez.
I shot a 7 for 8 from 3.
All right.
So I had my best game, and Joe was just shaking his head like, who the heck is this guy? Like, why did he have to have the best game against us? And we ended up beating Douglas that game, and that kind of started mine and Joe's relationship. Just joking about it after. He wasn't happy, obviously.
Oh, of course
they're
not.
a very good team. They ended up winning provincials that year. They ended up, going to national final.
That was a good team too.
It was a very good team, and beating them. And the next day, I remember I wedged my first shot, my first 3. And Joe was laughing on the sideline, like, that's more like it. There's the 1.2 points per game. And, he's kind of laughing. And then I ended up hitting the next 3 threes I took. And I had another, 12 or 15 points that game. So just that weekend, although, it was a good weekend. It was against Douglas. And it was always fun to play against Coach Joe. He's a good guy and good fun. And Scott and him have some good bicker. And it was just those were enjoyable competitive games. I really like those games. You
put yourself on everybody's scout from then on out at Joe's expense, which is fantastic.
I hope so. Yeah.
Joe's a good guy. He's been on here once before, and I can only imagine the look on his face when you go 8 for 9. And
it's
fantastic.
It felt good, and just to laugh about it and look back on it now, Joe's had a very successful career at Douglas, and now he's off to the youth sport, and it's great. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to see what he does at Fraser Valley with the success he's had at Douglas and the program, the teams he's had come through there. Yeah, guys like Grant Campbell, Courtney Anderson. The last couple of years, just those 2 guys off the top of my head.
Oh, there's so many guys. He's, there's a long list of guys that have played for Douglas. Good guys too, like good people, good players. Sly, he filled a role defensively for them for so many years, and they had a bunch of good people on the team. Grant was a great guy, great leader, and a great player for the Pac West, all-time leading scorer. So a lot of good players have gone through Douglas.
It's a shame that Nationals got canceled this year, because that team, they were rolling. They could have done some damage. They were looking
good.
They could have done a ton of damage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them, and I feel so bad. I felt so sick for all the players involved that didn't get an opportunity to play for a national championship. And those guys at Douglas, they worked hard, and I know VIU was headed as well. So it was tough, because those 2 teams representing the Pac West, you're feeling pretty confident in them to represent well, and it's just too bad. It's tough. We got everyone in the Pac West or the leagues, like everyone. I wasn't as involved in the league last season, but still just having friends on other teams, knowing the guys, and being an athlete and having something like that be taken away has got to be tough. And it's just the situation that we're in at the time. We're in now, and it's tough. It's tough times for a lot of people. But that was hard to see. That was tough.
It's tough for VIU too, knowing they had a chance to go defend their title from the year before, and they get back there, and the week they were supposed to go, or the week before, it's
crazy. Yeah,
at least they get to hold the title for another year anyways, I guess. So that's kind of the silver lining. Hopefully they get back next year and chance to defend. But
hopefully Camosun's out there.
And now Calgary go to SAIT.
Yeah, and I don't know what the berths are for next year, but I don't know I don't know how it's gonna work.
I don't know how it's gonna work either.
Yeah, we'll see.
Everything being canceled this year, is it just rinse and repeat this year?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's all kind of up in the air. I guess we'll hear about it eventually.
See what happens.
Best for the league. Yeah.
Last question that came in from a former teammate of yours. They are looking for the secret behind how you got so handsome.
Who asked that?
You've mentioned his name already. I will leave it at that. They were on the team early in your career.
Oh, that's AJ then. He must have. AJ Beaudry.
Will not confirm or deny.
Oh, man. How did I get so handsome, AJ? Well, I had a great captain in my first year. He gave me a lot of tips.
Okay.
Made sure I grew out a beard. And, that was the trick to kind of hiding what was underneath. And that's the trick. It's an optical illusion, I guess.
Okay. So any facial hair you can grow to cover up as much as you can.
Yeah. I'm growing up the hair up here, the beard. So, yeah.
I think that's the generic like quarantine look these days with barbershops closed, can't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty funny to see some of the guys' haircuts. Yeah, or lack thereof.
The homemade haircuts that never turn out as they should.
My roommate's been doing homemade haircuts, so
okay.
He's buzzing it. It's pretty funny. I'm not gonna buzz it. I think I'm gonna grow my hair out, so we'll see.
Okay. My wife's giving me haircuts, and it's easy to buzz, but she asked me to cut her hair.
Oh, geez, don't do that.
Touching it. She's like, it's just a straight line across the bottom. No, it's not.
Yeah, no.
That is the worst possible thing I could do.
Yeah, stay clear.
It's just a trap, and I don't know. We've only been married a year and a half, but I don't think that would end well if I did. It wouldn't be a straight line. Okay, the last thing for you. Anything else you want to add on what you guys are working on at Rec Sports Victoria, the Rex Report? Like I said, we're going to link everything in the description of this so people can check you guys out, follow on Instagram. Anything else that you want to bring attention to in basketball in Victoria?
Yeah, the awareness on the Rex Report is our goal of creating the Rex Report is to put out these reports on players and raise awareness. So we want to get in touch with coaches. We want to make a contact list where we can send you these players. You never know; it's never going to hurt you. You can watch a 2-3 minute video. If you don't like the sound of a guy, it's not a big deal. But if there's something that interests you about a guy or a girl, hopefully we get into doing a lot more girls soon. I'm trying to reach out. And if we can get coaches involved and listening and being aware of these players, that's the ultimate goal. Give them as many opportunities as they can get. And I know it's tricky when you don't see a player play and you're seeing like a highlight pack, but we can still send you full game tape. We can send more information. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So we just want to spread awareness. If anyone's listening, check out their X Report basically, and ask us questions. Don't hesitate to reach out. We want to help you as coaches, as programs. We want to help these athletes on the island as well, and just shine the spotlight on them. And then, and if things don't go well, if they can't find a team or a school, then that's where Rec Sports Victoria comes in right now. And we want to create leagues for these kids to play in, develop, play at a level where you're getting official refereeing, you're getting breakdown of your game, you're getting film of your game, and maybe that can help them take the next step and then see the opportunities they get a year after. So just trying to fill a niche and try to grow the game of basketball in Victoria and have fun.
And same with players too. Like if they're in grade 11, 12 or whatever year on the island, reach out to you guys as well, and you guys can work together to get that spotlight on them a bit. If they're not sure what to do or how to get that attention level, by all means, I think you guys say to reach out to you guys to work on being featured. So it's an option as well.
Yeah, we'll get them in. We'll get them in contact with the coaches that we are in contact with, and hopefully we continue to build relationships with other coaches across Canada. And even in the United States, and try to get these kids in the NCAA and grow the game on the West Coast and in Victoria. It's getting great in Vancouver, and grow the game in all of Canada, and just keep spreading the good word of basketball.
I like it. Spread the word. It sounds familiar. I like it.
Yeah, I stole that from you.
Hey, it fits. It fits. It's not mine. It is what it is. It fits. It's really how it sums up Canadian basketball from coast to coast. Just spread the word and get as many people looking as you can.
Looking and talking and being interested in it, and it's a great sport, and it's growing in Canada. And I love that the Raptors had won that championship, and it's really motivated a lot of people to play. It's a tough situation right now. It's a bit of a setback with what's going on, but just to see how people have pivoted and worked within our limits that we have right now, and eventually we'll be back to somewhat normal. And I think the game's going to really start to, blow up in Canada and grow.
Oh, for sure. Dylan, I want to thank you for taking time again to do this. I know it's take 2. We did it once and Friday didn't work out as well, but here we are, take number 2.
There we go. We got
it worked out well. Figured it out. My logo's the right way. That was the big thing. It was backwards last time. We figured this out. We figured out Zoom. We're doing okay. But again, really appreciate you taking the time, and wish you guys all the best with Rex Report as you guys continue to grow. And anytime you want to jump on to spread more word on basketball in Victoria, there's always a spot here for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I love what you're doing. Keep it up.
I appreciate that. Thank you.